Hi, and welcome back to another of our crazy, cat-free, snake-flying, Twitter-tweeting, Facebook-busting best as we delve into the deep, dark reaches of the internet and my crazy mind with another of our fake news series. It's been a totally creepy week for news out there with bomb scares, news media meltdowns, and 100 more rounds of polls as news. I know how to write fake news, but seriously, polls, that's fake news. But with all the messed up maniacal meanderings out there for your consumption, we at The Guide figured you needed something sillier, something more sensational, something more subversive. So we decided it was time for another of our fake news editions, as The Guide proudly presents The Single Dad's Guide to Fake News, Volume 19. What constitutes fake news, you ask? Why in the world would I want to do fake news? Why would I want to get in the whole game after Donald Trump and CNN seem to own the whole landscape? One simple answer. We need to laugh. In this crazy mixed up world where everyone else is calling someone a liar and advocating for his truth or her truth, it can be pretty frustrating just to turn on the television set. If we can't laugh at ourselves every once in a while, we are going to cry. And there's no crying in baseball! There's no crying in watching the news media. But what do I mean when I talk about fake news? Well, first of all, it's satire. Not unlike The Onion, but with George Washington's teeth. Okay, maybe it's a second-rate operation, but it's first-rate fake news. Basically, we take 10 of the top stories of the week, according to Google Trends, the arbiter of all things real, and twist the headlines to suit our purposes. So, basically we lie. We take the headlines and make them ridiculous, although all of the real news articles exist on the wonderful thing we call the internet, and you can be the judge of whether they're fake or not. Some articles are so ridiculous, they don't seem to need any editing to make them more ridiculous. There are just 4 rules here. 1, this is completely fake news. 2, enter at your own risk. 3, have a good time, or else. 4, quit taking yourself so seriously, and share this with some friends. If you follow these 4 rules, we will get along. And without further ado, The Guide proudly presents The Single Dad's Guide to Fake News, Volume 19. Number 1. Young couple decided to take the plunge. Oh, literally. A 3,000-foot plunge. I know, when we're talking about risks, about a plunge for a wedding, there are truly all sorts of risks involved. Speaking as a divorced dad, I understand all the prospective risks of a marriage, but one of them I'm not sure I would take is jumping 3,000 feet to the bottom of the Yosemite Canyon without a parachute. I don't care how much of a daredevil you are, breaking bones at that rate would not have been a pleasurable experience. While the couple like to think of themselves as daredevils, I'm quite sure they didn't have Evel Knievel's support staff, making sure to take care of broken bones or other dismembered body parts when they reach the bottom. Whether you like standing on the very edge of a canyon or not, this may have taken fence sitting just a little bit far. I say I'd recommend standing a few feet back next time, but I don't think that will help. Number 2. We now know the acronym for Google. Gluttonous, obnoxious overlords given legal excuses. While it does appear Google seems perfectly okay with censoring people's speech for the great Chinese overlords, it seems one action doesn't require any censorship from our Google betters: sexual harassment. Documents released to the media indicate they don't believe in terminating people with credible sexual assault allegations against them. One such individual has a history of notifying prospective female employees about his polyamorous status and asking for topless back massages at Burning Man. I know Burning Man is a place for all kinds of excess, but sexually harassing prospective female employees probably isn't a good idea. Despite the boorish behavior, it appears Google either keeps you on or gives you generous severance packages if you do something sexually harassing. I never realized sexual assault could be so lucrative. While some employees are threatening a lockout, given Google's outsized influence, how much of an effect could it have? Only Google knows. Number 3. Awkward divorce announcement winner. Dancing with the Stars. As a divorced spouse, I remember keenly the time I found out divorce was not only an option, but an eventuality. During that time, I often hid inside from the world, stressed almost every moment. Thankfully, some friends were able to talk me through some of the crazy. I'm not sure what I would have done without them, but for the most part, I wanted to keep quiet about divorce, letting people know only if they needed to know. Putting my divorce out there would never have been on my radar. Releasing it to a few family members, yes. Releasing it to the world, never. One such person decided it wasn't just enough to put out a press release. They figured the best venue for a divorce announcement would be Dancing with the Stars. And who is that person, you ask? America's former sweetheart, Mary Lou Retton. Speaking as a person whose first major crush was this precocious gymnastic star, I remember hearing when she got married all about her faith and her further career pursuits. In my eyes, she could do no wrong. Well, it appears age and a midlife crisis might have caught up with her, and she decided announcing the divorce in an episode of Dancing with the Stars was appropriate. Well, I'm sure the show loved to scoop. I'm guessing her befuddled ex-spouse might have hoped for a better release. Ah, well, can't do much about that now. I'm now curious as to which former 70s and 80s famous athlete will make me go, Fernando Valenzuela, anyone? Number 4. Venice. Atlantis Part 2. Some cities should not exist. They might be technological wonders, but they are cities sitting on a knife's point. Yes, that's you, New Orleans, whose levees failed you as it's a city which would be underwater otherwise. Another great city on the precipice, and everyone knows it, Venice. Yes, Venice, the city of love and great canals in Italy, is a city propped up by man-made devices to keep it from sinking. I know it's on my bucket list of locations to visit, but I wasn't thinking in the next 5 years. It would appear I may need to up my time schedule, as the storm recently buried the city in water. As much as I would love to visit, I'm not sure walking around in 5 feet of water through the streets will have the same kind of romantic appeal as much as when I walk on dry land. I suppose to some people, muddy, icky, filthy, up to your knees is a turn on. For me, not so much. Number 5. Aw, Facebook is running out of ways to make money on us. And I should feel bad. Why? In the last few weeks, aside from the bad news about selling out all your information to the highest bidder, Facebook stock has been tanking for other reasons. Yes, earnings may be marginally the same, but it would appear Facebook may have tapped its growth potential and might go the way of MySpace in the next couple of years. Why? Most companies are predicated on continuous growth. It's like a marriage, you see. If you aren't growing as a couple, you are growing apart. Well, for Facebook, the people of the countries who make the most profit margin for them decided connecting to Facebook may not be a good idea after all. After all, we prefer to sell our own information. Thank you very much. If anyone should profit, it should be the people the information belongs to. As I said before, if you aren't growing, you're shrinking. And Facebook's room for growth may just have hit a stumbling block. This has caused investors to freak out, because 2 billion people on Facebook in profitable countries isn't enough. Evidently. And maybe Facebook really will shrink down to the size of MySpace someday. Maybe Zuckerberg should find some other sap to steal an idea from, so he can be profitable again. After all, it worked the first time, didn't it? Number 6. Surprise, surprise! Some stores actually closed for Thanksgiving. What is the world coming to? It's the fall once again, and after Halloween, for people in the USA at least, comes the great holiday of the veteran. No, wait. I mean the great Thanksgiving holiday. 'Tis the season to be thankful for many things, but for the great retailers out there, 'tis the season to trick suckers into showing up for the very few low-priced items so that they can get you buy tons of more overpriced items and finally make a profit margin. It is a third lesser-known holiday called Black Friday. Check here for my tips on Black Friday. It would appear that this year pressure has been brought to bear on some of those companies to actually have a heart for the holiday season and allow their employees to actually stay home. Some box stores like Sam's Club and Costco have even decided to stay closed for both the Thursday and Friday of the biggest shopping weekend of the United States, which means that some of them have actually had Grinch-like conversions. What is the world coming to where you should get time off for holidays? I tell you! Oh yeah, right. Number 7. Jeff Bezos even beat Zuckerberg as the winner of the Biggest Loser competition. So, when it comes to losers in the world, we would generally not put Bezos and Zuckerberg at the top of our list. But it seems that even with the winners of the world, losing can be a bit of a competition. Jeff Bezos, head of Amazon, and Jeffrey Zuckerberg, head of Facebook, decided to throw down over who could be the biggest loser of cash. It would appear the big cash losses of Zuckerberg due to selling out people's information to the highest bidder could not go down without a fight. The $16 billion of losses of the Zuckster could not be tolerated. Hence, Bezos went out and lost himself a good deal more, with $18 billion in losses of Amazon stock. Of course, he did have a lot more to begin with, so losing that much might not be that much of a deal. If only I lived in a world where an $18 billion loss could be considered chump change. I have a student loan he could pay off easily if he just wanted to give some money to a single dad former college student paying off a loan. What's another $100,000 really? Number 8. Woman haunted by honeymoon as she becomes human botfly cocoon. And now, on to more sad and depressing, or utterly ridiculous, honeymoon stories. Well, on one half of the world, a couple were taking a leap. Another woman was enjoying some rays down south. Evidently, there is such a thing called a botfly down south, which, when they lay larvae on a mosquito, can be transmitted to a human underneath the skin. Who knew sunbathing could be so dangerous, except for that sun? And that skin cancer thing. But whatever. Evidently, said mosquito must have bitten her and laid these larval botfly creatures underneath her skin. After coming home from the honeymoon, the blushing bride decided she needed to have the skin condition looked at. They told her it was some weird bacterial infection, gave her some antibiotics, and sent her home. It would seem the continuous growth of said infection caused the doctors to take another look. That's when they found the botfly. Who knew that when they said medicine was a practice, they were practicing on you? Oh yeah, I did. Number 9. Whoever said that having a brain was a good thing is an idiot, I tell ya. I know that with men, arguing over the size of everything seems to matter. Whether it's the size of one's fingers, hands, feet, Mercedes, or what have you. Men argue over the size of everything. This would happen to include the size of one's brains, because having a big brain is a good thing, right? I mean, Einstein must have had a big brain. Whether Einstein had a big brain is anybody's guess. What we do know now is having a big brain means you have a much bigger risk of cancer. Seems to make sense that with more cells in your body, you have more cells having a possibility for something going wrong. This is not an exception in your head. So the very next time someone tells you they have a big brain, laugh at them loudly, and then hand them a card to the local brain surgeon or oncologist. They may need it. Number 10. Twitter bans hate speech by removing the like button. When it comes to social media idiocy, nothing says stupid like Facebook. But one company decided Facebook could not be the only obnoxious social media company in town. They needed to get in the game. Twitter entered the world of short-sighted social media mavens by trying to reduce hate speech. How do they do this? They removed the like button. Now, Twitter hasn't gone and removed the like button just yet, but plans seem to be in the works for removing the master of hatred. Because liking something really means you hate it. Or something like that. Okay, maybe they see liking some hateful content is a bad thing. But how does this help when you have the retweet button right there? And cannot people look for good things to like as well? What if I want to support something, but I don't necessarily want it clogging my Twitter feed? Is liking something really supposed to mean that I hate people? Only in our mixed up world could love be considered hate speech. Next up, Instagram bans sharing posts. Thank you once again for joining us on our Ode to Eccentricity as we break ground on all things fake. We hope we made you laugh a lot. We hope we made you cry a little, except about baseball. And above all, we hope we made you get out of the house because this infernal media is crazy, I tell ya. We hope to see you again next week as the guide reaches another milestone with a single dad's guide to fake news, volume 20. Because if it's fake news, it must have happened here first.